Hello, today is January 16th, 2013, and you are listening to I Think You Think, a podcast that puts a new spin on debate and discussion. I'm Justin, and on the other side of my computer screen is James.
Hello, folks.
And we are your hosts and carry no credentials worth noting. I Think You Think is a podcast that focuses on what we, your hosts, think, but also what you think. Too many times, we spend debates and discussions talking past one another and not enough time trying to learn and understand why someone thinks what they think. This is what makes I Think You Think different, because we are focused on why people think the way that they do and why we think the way that we do. James and I believe that the forum of ideas should be open to everyone, and everyone should have the opportunity to challenge and be challenged by ideas. We are not here to pass judgment, but merely discuss ideas and topics. This podcast, first and foremost, is a conversation between us and hopefully you. Feel free to email us, follow us on Facebook for future podcasts, and follow us on Tumblr for links relevant to this podcast and any of the others. The links for these can be found in the underbar of this video. I Think You Think is produced by StolenArts Productions and is recorded live at Fisher International Studios. How are you doing today, James?
I am good. Today was day 6 in a row of work, but tomorrow I have off, so it's always nice, after you get a long stretch of work days to have that, that day coming up where you're just can kind of relax. I mean, I have a bunch of stuff to do, but I can do it in jeans and a t-shirt as opposed to, button-up shirt and slacks. So I'm kind of excited. How's your week been going?
Well, it is excellent because I have the next 4 days off. This is my little reward that I get from my company for working 6 days a week in December. So this is what they do for... Here's a thank you for you putting in 55 hours a week for the month of December when everything is crazy. Have 4 days off in January. So I get 4-day weekend.
Nice. You totally one-up me there because I only have the 1 day.
Oh. I will say I feel kind of bad because yesterday on my way home from work, my wife and I have started counting calories, and so I had saved up enough calories so that on my way home I was going to get me a caramel mocha frappe. And so I pulled through a McDonald's, and I had a coupon for $1 for a small one, and I'm thinking, this is perfect. 450 calories, that'll get me done for the day. I tried to give it to them. They were confused on what the coupon was, even though it was for their store, and how to use it. And then they tried to charge me like $1.70, and I was like, there's no way it's 70 cents in tax. So I'm like, just forget it. Give me back my coupon and my credit card, and I stormed away, and I called them and yelled at the manager, and I felt so bad because I know what it's like to be the manager and get yelled at because someone's being irrational. So I felt kind of bad, but I didn't get my frappe, so damn it.
Yeah, it's difficult. I had a recent problem, and I hate to be the person that complains as well, but it was a New Year's Day situation, and I ordered food at, there's a lot of restaurants that deliver that you can order food online now. And I did it, and it all went through, but they never showed up because they were closed. So someone forgot to click some switch on that computer and turn off that program. And to this day, right now, today, there's this New Year's Day. So 16 or 15 days later, that charge is still on my card for $10.75, and they sent me a gift card for $10. And it's kind of frustrating that I paid 75 cents to be hungry for 2 hours. And I hate to complain about that situation, but sometimes you have to, and I think it's a matter of more how you approach it than the fact that you're actually, lodging a complaint.
I don't know. I think you should have gotten your credit back and gotten the $10 gift card. I think that's reasonable.
100%. And I mean, if they would have just sent me, a gift card for $20, I would have been like, okay.
Okay. Yeah,
this is reasonable. Sure. It covers the charge. Maybe it was difficult for them to track it down because they were closed that day. This is hugely off topic of what we want to talk about today. But sometimes it is right to complain. And I think it's important for people to just know how to lodge that complaint in a proper way. You will come across companies that when you talk to those people, it is completely obvious that they don't care that you had a problem.
Yeah.
And in that case, do what you will. But, I feel like the majority of managers and people you come in contact with do care that you have a problem. And I think you should take that goes a long way for me, you know. When I finally talk to there's someone who's been trying to call me, but I've been working, so I haven't been able to get back to him about that same situation. And when I talk to him, you know, even with all this that went on, I'm not angry about the situation, but I am frustrated. You know, it's like I give him every opportunity to fix the situation, and I don't want like a lot. I would almost just be happy with my additional 75 cents in gift card, and
Yeah.
I would be good with that. That would, you know, it would at least cover it. I understand stuff happens. It's not a big deal. It happened, but don't send me a gift card for less than I paid for the food that I never got, because that is frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, we have a whole huge topic to talk about today. So you know, every week, folks, we do talk about after our show, we record it. We talk about what we're going to talk about next time. And this time around, we were talking about the Consumer Electronics Show that happened just a couple weeks ago now. And you know, every year the companies are putting out their best new technology that's coming out in this calendar year, basically. You know, TVs, cell phones, possibly video game systems, and different technologies that don't fit into a straight up, you know, a normal category. Sometimes it's new things that haven't existed before. And it got us thinking about where we would like to see technology go over the next year, 5 years, whatever it might be. Um, for those of you that have listened to the show before, it's probably safe for you to assume that me and Justin both enjoy technology. Obviously, we record this podcast via Skype on our laptops and et cetera, et cetera. And the variety of video game talk that we've had in many of our um, different podcasts. So we decided we were going to talk about what we would like to see in the future of technology in hopes that some big company's going to hear it and make all our dreams come true. So let's start off, Justin, with television in general, whether you want to just be the actual TV or the cable or satellite. What is it for you that you would like to see out of that moving towards the future?
Well, you know, I did a little bit of research on some of the best the best technology at CES. For those who don't know, a lot of technology goes there. So, I mean, you could wade through many different websites and companies that submitted something. Whether or not you want to do that, that's fine. I try to stick to the ones that are like the top performers, the one everybody, the things most people were excited about. There was a TV that did come out. I didn't happen to write it down, but there was a TV that came out that I think was 4,000 pixels on one side, like a typical high def TV's got 1080 on the short side, and this one had something like 4,000. So I mean, a lot of pixels, and people were, you know. It's tough because if somebody takes a picture of a TV like that, or you see it on your computer or something, your computer can't show you the amount of pixels that the TV is displaying. A TV that's going to have that clear of a picture, I've always thought of the idea of being able to look at a TV and it look just as clear and crisp and pretty as if you were just looking through a window to the outside world. So I think what I'd like to see in some future television is I like the idea of 3D TV, but there's got to be a way that we can do 3D TV without having to wear glasses for it. So a 3D TV that you don't have to wear glasses for, that has enough pixels that it looks like real life, I think is probably what I would be looking for in future technology.
Yeah, I think they call it it's the 4K TV is what they've been referring to it as. And I think that's the like I've heard multiple prices, $25,000, $38,000.
Yeah, they said 25,000 would be like the low end. If it came out 25 would be a reasonable low end that they would think the price would be.
That is questionable when it comes to the term reasonable. $25,000 for a TV. Man, like I will probably not have spent that in all the TVs I ever own for the entirety of my life.
Oh, I can guarantee I haven't. I mean, I don't think for the TVs I've owned, I've spent more than $1,000.
You know, for me, when it comes to, you know, television in general, like for cable television, I would like to see, I mean, because cable television is pretty expensive. Most of us, we bundle, um, cable and internet. Some people even have their home phone, which I don't really know why you do that. Pay for home phone. It's kind of, I don't know. For me, it's unreasonable to pay for an extra phone bill. I have my cell phone. I'm good. Um, but I would really like to see two things. Number one, being able to really sort of piece it together what I want, because I have a lot of unnecessary channels. And I feel like maybe I would be spending less if I didn't have these channels that I'm never going to watch. Like for me personally, I'm never going to watch Oxygen or Lifetime. There's a bunch of other channels I'm not going to watch, like um, I have like the golf channel, and I like to play golf video games. I find that fun, but I really have no desire to watch anyone play golf. It's just, it's nothing I would watch. So it's something I'd take out. Whether that's here or there is irrelevant. I would also like to see more interactivity. On some Blu-rays, it'll pop up where you can see more information about the actors or how a scene was filmed. Um, like as we record this, I have my TV turned down, but I'm watching a basketball game. And I think it'd be really neat if I could use a Wii-like controller to point at a player and then, reference stats right on my TV, or be watching a movie and point at an actor and be like, oh, who is that? What else were they in? And be able to go to like an IMDb database or something similar and learn more about them while I'm watching the movie. That's the kind of stuff as far as TV goes that I would really like to see, because I feel like the technology is there. It might not be pieced together in that way, but I mean, IMDb's right there. Obviously, all the stats for any major sport are, at your fingertips. And just being able to combine that with an interface that works while you're watching live TV. Um, I understand it's maybe not as easy as watching a live sports game and like pointing at a player and being able to track that down. That might, that's a couple steps ahead. But even be able to, select the team and then go through the roster, um, that's what I would like to see um, as far as the future of television.
Have you downloaded Xbox Smart Glass for your phone?
I have not, no.
Okay, but you have a 360. You watch Netflix and everything on your 360, right?
Well, my TV, yeah, my TV I have in my living room has a Netflix button on the remote control. So never watch Netflix on anything else here because there's really no need.
Right,
Um,
right.
but I do have the PS3 and the Xbox 360, so I have a lot of Netflix options in my living room. And then, that's where my Xbox is. So
The reason I brought it up was just with the Xbox Smart Glass. Not only can you use your cell phone to control your Xbox, like you sign in and you can actually move through your Xbox like you would with your controller, but you are using your cell phone to do it.
right,
But also while you're watching like shows, Hulu Plus or Netflix, additional content about that show and the actors will show up on your phone. It's not exactly what you were saying. I mean, yours obviously it uses a little bit more, but it is. I mean, definitely if there's some connectivity between your cell phone and your television, that would be kind of cool where you could do that, or even hold your phone up, take a picture of a player or something like that, and it would find out information, or an actor and it would find out information.
right, right. Well, what about video game systems? Talking about the Xbox, PS3, there's always the talk about the next generation system. And obviously, the major companies are always working on it because, that's where the money really is when you launch a new system. What would you like to see out of the Xbox 720, if that's what it ended up being called, or the PS4, if that's what it ends up being called? Um, compared to what's already there, what would you like to see in those systems?
Well, there's one thing that I think the next generation of video game systems are going to have, and I don't. The jury is still out on it in terms of my brain and how I feel about it. But I think that the direction that they're all going is downloaded games. The games being more a software type thing as opposed to going out to your local Best Buy and picking up an actual disc. I think that they're
Right.
all going towards the direction of like streaming games. Steam does it on your computers, but I mean that really lends itself to computing. I mean, downloading a game to your computer is not as strange as downloading games to your video game console. Your video game console, there are arcade games and things like that, but very rarely do you ever actually buy a software, just the software for a game. Um, for me, I always like knowing that I have that disc. I own that disc. It's my disc. I'm always afraid that if I bought a video game, uh, that there would be somehow I might not be able to. I mean, obviously, if you buy the software version of it, there's no way to resell it, which is
Right.
beneficial for the video game companies. They've got your $40 for the game, and you're not going to get anything else out for it. And if anybody else wants to play it, they have to shell out $40 or $30 after 6 months or whatever it's going to be. But it's always sort of made me uncomfortable, but it doesn't stop me from buying arcade games. And I think Xbox 360, PS3 have done a good job of showing you that those games can be tied to one specific console, but it's more tied to your name. And so if you say, you know what, I don't use this console anymore, I use this one, then you can change which console the downloaded content is saved to, not saved to, but is tied to. So I guess that's one direction that I think video game companies are going to be going. What I'd like to see from actual video games, obviously, I'd love to see the hardware continue to improve, better graphics, bigger worlds, more in-depth gameplay, that type of stuff. Those things definitely. That's kind of a uh, obvious that will take place. That those type of things. Um,
Right.
I, I I'm kind of interested in them getting into more immersive stuff. The games being more immersive. I know that I had heard probably 6 or 7 months ago that either Xbox or Microsoft had snapped up a patent that had recently released that it basically was like the Kinect, but instead of just being a motion tracking system like the Kinect does, it also would display things on the four walls in your room. So it would be
Okay.
it would be much more immersive in the sense that, for example, if you were playing something like Skyrim, um, you would have the game that you would be playing, but things to the left and right and behind you would be shot out, displayed on your wall. Now, obviously, this is something that it would be hard to necessarily set up. You'd have to have a specific room for it or something for your game. But these are all kind of pie in the sky types of things. Um, but that anything that really allows you to immerse yourself more in the game. I mean, getting real crazy with it, I'd love to see something like a holodeck from Star Trek, but
Right.
that's quite a few possibly centuries away.
Yeah. I mean, but you never know. I mean, there is stuff out. I mean, that level to really be at the level of what the holodeck showed um, is definitely, out of our reach. But there are things that are primitive versions of that that are out there at universities and things like that, where they've, begun to take, very baby steps towards something like that. If something of that caliber is even possible is yet to be seen. Um, for me with video games or the consoles, I would really like to see it become something that is like when I purchase this, when I spend my, 400 or more, 300 or more dollars, I guess is probably the marker when you're talking about PS3 or an Xbox or a PlayStation or Xbox, because there'll be different numbers at that point. It's something that can really work as an internet kind of PC, you know, where you want to have a mouse and you want to have a keyboard to get the most out of this. So you can just jump online, um, on your TV. Because I think it adds a whole nother level of worth to it. It makes it sort of two things in one. So a family, like for you, you have, you, your wife, your two children, and say it's even a little bit more. Say we're talking now $550, $600, but it's completely worth it at that point because not only is it, the gaming system that you want, like you pick A or B, is it Xbox or PS? You pick A or B, but it's also now like the family's personal computer. The way storage moves towards the clouds or the ability just to attach an external hard drive to it. You can have plenty of storage. They're powerhouses of computing. So there's not much reason to not be able to do that. Um, and that's what I would like to see. So it really becomes, possibly a hub for the entire house, maybe even powerful enough that I could have it here in my living room, which you could also buy for $150, some sort of satellite unit that I could plug in my bedroom and still be able to utilize it. Um, and I think what you were talking about with downloadable games, in a way, there is a part of me that doesn't like that. But since I owned the original Nintendo, like you'd buy your games, you'd own your games. This is my collection of games. Here they are physically, my cartridge, my disc, whatever it is. Um, and part of me would miss that and the ability to resell them, and because a lot of times games aren't worth $60, they aren't worth $30, but I'm very happy to buy it for 15. And in a downloadable world, like any reasonably good game is probably never going to get down to like that level of price of $15. But if you have a downloadable game, and you owned a system and simultaneously the satellite like units work. So in a like your family, you could have it in the main living room, possibly in your bedroom, in your son's bedroom, and then since you own it, you'd hope that you'd get the flexibility to be able to play it in all three places, you know, either simultaneously in some co-op way or on individual campaigns. Um, you know, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of things that would need to happen for that to be possible. But I really feel like that is something that I would really appreciate out of that level of technology or that area of technology.
I will say that we're still very early in the kind of history that will be later written about with digital purchasing and digital content and things like that. I mean, it's really something very new. Um, and as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, well, what about if you've got a game and I've got a game and I'm done playing mine for a while and you're done playing one and I'm like, hey, let's swap for a while. You couldn't do that with a digital. However, I did start. I know that I believe it's with the Nook and it's probably with the Kindle as well. But there's an ability to loan books to people where you
I know
actually.
you can on the Kindle. I
Okay.
know for a
All right.
fact.
So you actually own the book, but you say, I think it's only for certain books, but you can say, my friend wants to read this. I'm going to loan it to them. Um, and then digitally, you essentially let them read the book, which if they started doing stuff like that with games, that might be kind of interesting. So that you can, loan games back and forth. So who knows what the future will hold with digital content. Um, I'm sure in general I'll be pretty happy with it. There's growing pains in any kind of a new technology, and I don't want to be 70 years old at some point and go, oh, I don't get all these newfangled flying cars and things. I'd like to believe that I'll stay up to date on technology, and I'll be as excited once I'm 70 about some new kind of computer coming out, or new kind of cell phone or something, or whatever they'll have at that point. Um, and just be as interested, if not more interested.
Right, right. I mean, there's like I think the digital download of games, it's it's a weird thing for me. Like I understand it if you look at it business wise. Yes, it's more profit for the company, but from what I understand, the video game companies have not suffered even in this recession. I mean, and I could be wrong about that, but overall, from what I understand, it is still a business that does well,
Well,
very well.
if I remember my college history correctly, the entertainment business rarely suffers during a recession. During the Great Depression, the only business that did not suffer and actually increased every year still was like movies, like pictures, the movie pictures that they had. I mean, that was people were still as depressed as you are. You don't have a job, and you're whether or not you're you're going to be able to afford some sort of bill. People will still find the money to go and um, uh, take a a trip to see a film or a movie or do something that is entertaining in order to get their mind off of whatever kind of depression that they're in.
And video game, like a movie, call it 2 hours, sometimes more, sometimes less. A movie's just 2 hours and you spend your money. And it is obviously significantly less than if you buy a video game. But a video game, you can get tens of hours out of. I mean, a low content video game is like a 10 to 15 hour video game. A high content video game is a game that you can literally play for hundreds of hours.
Yeah,
So if you just call it 180 hours, that means for every dollar you spent on a brand new game, not counting tax, you're getting 3 hours. That is severe. That is like major value for your money, especially in a rough economy. If you figure, between taking care of the kids and working and everything, you have, 5 hours a week that you get to play, just as an example. That is a lot of time you're playing. That's like 30, 36 weeks. So the majority, like two-thirds of a year, better part of two-thirds of a year, you have been entertained in your free time for $60.
yeah.
You can't beat that. I mean, the original cost of the system is expensive, but video games as a whole is a fantastic deal once you get past the initial purchase, which isn't just a video game system anymore. For me, I'm lucky enough to have multiple ways to view my Netflix. But if I had a slightly different TV and didn't have both systems, like my Xbox would be my Netflix, and for a long time it was. It would be my Amazon Instant Video. It would be my Hulu. And there's a lot of other things that both systems can do. With the PS3, I also get the Blu-ray player out of that. There's so much that they do. It really is. I mean, it's a fantastic value, and I can why it doesn't really suffer during, a recession at all, because there's so much to it. It's not like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of other things. People don't get their hair cut as much over the last few years. They don't, or like women don't get it specifically styled as much. Like they might do it for, a couple of holiday parties between Thanksgiving and New Year's, and instead they don't at all. They just take care of it themselves. Maybe two friends help each other out, whatever happens. Um, but yeah, the Xbox will still have new video games. The PS3 will still have new video games, and I understand. Um, so I think we're kind of at the point where we're going to have to cut off for episode. What is this? This is
Episode
podcast
7.
7,
Yep.
part 1.
So that's basically where we're going to stop for the part one. So you guys can join us again in just a couple of days. We're going to go ahead and keep talking, as always. It's hard to stop us. And you guys can pick right back up when once the next video gets uploaded. All right, we'll see you then.